Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take those foundational texts on success, influence, getting ahead, and we boil them down for you. No fluff, just the core insights. Today, we're tackling something absolutely fundamental: influence and communication. The bedrock of social and professional life.
Exactly. We've sort of synthesized a curriculum, really, drawn from some key sources that lay out the skills you need. And this isn't just be nice advice. It's more like a blueprint for competence. Skills that are pretty much non-negotiable if you want to be effective.
Right. So our mission here is to connect the dots. How does just getting along with someone, personal rapport, how does that actually translate into getting results, say, in your job? We're aiming to give you those practical nuggets, the actionable stuff.
And we've structured it kind of like a path. We've grouped these 6 core ideas into 3 stages. First, there's connection, then that builds into action, and finally it all culminates in mastery.
Okay.
If you follow this, you'll see how each stage really depends on the one before it.
Right.
It's logical.
Connection to action, mastery. Got it. Let's start at the beginning then. Connection. Ground zero. This is where it all starts, right? Not with telling people what to do, but just being accepted. How do we build that initial bridge?
Well, the very first pillar is learning how to communicate effectively. And the key thing here, it's often missed. People think effective communication means being a great talker, persuasive, articulate.
They're projecting confidence, maybe.
Right. But these sources really emphasize that it starts with listening, like really listening.
So less broadcasting, more receiving.
Precisely.
Yeah.
If you're not genuinely tuned in, not interrupting, just absorbing, you miss everything important, the why behind what they're saying, the emotion.
Okay.
And if you miss that, well, any attempt to influence later is basically tripled from the start. So effective communication, it's the baseline tool, and it's definitely a two-way street, heavily weighted towards understanding first.
Makes sense. Understand before trying to be understood. So, okay, once we're good listeners, active listeners, the next step is how to make people like you. But isn't there a risk there? Like, if you focus too much on being liked, do you just become a doormat, a people pleaser? How do you balance that with, needing to get things done, maybe having tough conversations?
That's a really important point, and it gets to a common misunderstanding. Likability, in this context, isn't about being submissive. It's about being intentionally focused on the other person. And the techniques are surprisingly specific, almost counterintuitive. For example, the sources stress the incredible power of simply remembering and using someone's name correctly.
Their name? Really?
As one source puts it, a person's name is to them the sweetest and most important sound. It's fundamental.
Wow. Okay, so that's actionable. It's not just be friendly. It's remember the name, use it sincerely.
Exactly. And another big one is shifting the focus away from yourself.
Yeah.
Completely. You need to show genuine interest. And I'd stress genuine, not faked in what the other person cares about, their job, their hobbies, their problems. Likability comes from making the other person feel important. And you do that by letting them be the star of the conversation, essentially.
Okay, so the aha moment here is influence starts with being accepted. You get that acceptance through specific things like using names, showing real interest, and that positive feeling, that sort of emotional buy-in is what you need before you can move to the next stage, the more results-focused stuff.
You've got it. That emotional capital is key.
All right, so we've made the connection. People hopefully like us. We've built that rapport, that emotional bank account. But like you said, rapport alone doesn't move the needle on projects or goals. So how do we cash in that emotional capital? How do we turn connection into action?
Right. Now, we shift gears. This is where we move into the second phase, action. And the third pillar jumps right into it. How to increase your ability to get things done. Pure performance.
Getting things done. Efficacy. Okay. That sounds practical, results-driven. But usually we're not working in a vacuum, are we? Getting things done often means getting things done with or through other people. Our efficacy depends on them.
Absolutely. Which leads us directly to the fourth pillar. And this one is, well, it's arguably the absolute core of influence. It's how to get others to see your side.
Perspective shifting.
Yes. And you have to connect efficacy, getting things done, directly to this ability to shift perspectives. Because real influence, the kind that lasts, isn't about forcing people, it's about alignment.
Coercion versus alignment. Okay.
Yeah. If you just push for action without getting that alignment first, you might get compliance, maybe, short term,
Yeah.
but you won't get real buy-in, real motivation, genuine collaboration.
And that's the difference between just ticking boxes and actually achieving something significant together.
Exactly. Getting tasks done versus getting things done well.
So how do we do it? How do we actually shift someone's perspective, especially if they disagree or, they're just dug in? This must be where those communication skills we talked about earlier come back in play.
Oh, they're critical, non-negotiable at this stage.
Yeah.
And the sources offer some really powerful, almost psychological techniques.
Mm.
For instance, one key principle is never, ever start a difficult conversation by focusing on where you disagree.
Okay, so start with agreement.
Yes. Find common ground, even if it's small. Actively emphasize the points you do agree on first. Get the other person saying yes, yes, right from the outset. Build momentum.
Ah, I see. Like building a little yes ladder. It creates a positive flow, makes it harder for them to suddenly shift to no.
Precisely. You're creating psychological consistency. You're building that alignment brick by brick. And another huge technique is avoiding direct contradiction, like explicitly telling someone you're wrong. That just puts them on the defensive immediately.
Right. Nobody likes to be told they're wrong.
No. So instead, you show respect for their viewpoint, maybe acknowledge the effort they put in, and then gently guide them. Maybe phrase it as, have you considered this alternative? Or what if we looked at it this way? Lead with common ground, then introduce your idea subtly.
It sounds like, and this is interesting, the best way to get someone to see your side is maybe to make them feel like the better idea was actually their idea, or at least partly theirs.
That is the absolute gold standard of perspective shifting, yes. When you let the other person save face, when you make them feel ownership over the conclusion, their resistance just evaporates. And their commitment to making it happen, which boosts your efficacy, goes way up.
So getting results in a team really hinges on bridging that gap between viewpoints, but doing it respectfully, focusing on their internal landscape, their need to feel valued.
That's the core of it.
Wow, okay. That's powerful stuff. So we've built connection, used it to drive action through alignment. What does this all mean for the bigger picture? Like, for people aiming for leadership roles or just trying to navigate really complex social or work environments, this brings us to mastery, right?
Exactly. The domain of mastery.
Yeah.
And the first principle here, the fifth pillar, is how to become a more effective leader. And really, based on everything we've just discussed, effective leadership starts to look like the consistent, scaled-up application of all those previous skills.
So it's less about having all the answers yourself or being the smartest person in the room, and more about being the person who can communicate effectively, make people feel valued and liked, align different perspectives, and get everyone feeling like they own the outcome.
That sums it up perfectly. A leader, according to these principles, leads by influence, not just by title or authority. They demonstrate genuine interest, they make others feel important, they guide through alignment, not criticism. They create an environment where people want to contribute, want to follow. And a key mechanism the sources highlight for leaders is praising improvement. Even small steps. Don't wait for perfection. Acknowledge progress along the way. That fuels motivation like crazy.
Got it. Positive reinforcement for effort, not just final results. And then this whole journey, this whole curriculum we've walked through, it all leads to the final promise, the sixth pillar, which sounds like the ultimate payoff. How to successfully navigate almost any social situation.
Yes, navigation. That's the peak, isn't it? Think of it as social fluency, maybe, or resilience. If you've truly mastered this toolkit, if you can walk into pretty much any situation, familiar or unfamiliar, challenging or smooth, and you can communicate clearly, build rapport quickly, find that common ground, influence action without forcing it, motivate people, then you're equipped. You can handle it.
The phrase almost any social situation is pretty bold. It implies these principles are universal, right? Like whether it's a tense negotiation, a networking event, a family argument, a performance review, the underlying human dynamics are the same.
That seems to be the core assumption, yes. The application might change depending on the context, but the fundamental principles, showing interest, giving respect, finding alignment, offering sincere praise, those remain constant because human nature, at its core, is relatively consistent in these areas.
So mastery is about adapting the how while sticking to the fundamental what.
Well put. You've basically got the keys to the social kingdom at that point.
Yeah.
And, the sources do add that little kicker at the end, and so much more.
Right.
Because once you internalize these 6 pillars, the potential applications really do feel limitless. Personal life, professional life.
Yeah.
it scales.
Okay, this has been quite a journey. We've really laid out a clear path here. We started with connection, building that foundation through uh, effective communication, primarily listening, and genuine likability techniques.
Uh-huh.
Then we moved into action, translating that rapport into results by focusing on efficacy and mastering that crucial skill of perspective shifting, getting alignment. And finally, we saw how it all comes together in mastery, which manifests as truly effective leadership and the ability to, well, navigate almost any social landscape successfully.
And understanding this framework, this progression, gives you a real advantage. You're not just getting a random list of tips. You're getting the underlying structure, the why behind it all, which hopefully saves you time and gives you some genuinely actionable insights you can use, like tomorrow.
The roadmap to mastering human interaction seems pretty clear now.
It does. And maybe that leads us to one final thought, something for you to consider after we wrap up. We've talked about these skills being effective in almost any social situation,
Yeah.
across different people, different settings.
Yeah.
If these principles are so universally powerful, what fundamental, unchanging aspect of human nature are they tapping into? What core human need or desire is so constant that these techniques showing interest, giving respect, seeking alignment work almost every time, everywhere? What's that constant variable they're banking on? Something to think about until our next deep dive.